says Tehran is ready to resume nuclear talks with the U.S. Joining us to discuss is Taylor Hathorn, visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Center for American Safety and Security. Taylor, good afternoon. Always good to have you here. So to start off, I want you to have a listen to what Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said about this yesterday.
Same thing with Iran right now, ensuring that they have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities. We will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department.
So, Taylor, in the backdrop of all this, is a U.S. military buildup in the Gulf with speculation of a potential strike on Iran, right? So where do you see these negotiation efforts going, and what's at stake?
The goal in any conflict is always deterrence, right? So we don't want to come in guns a-blazing just because we have the power to completely wipe out the IRGC. Doesn't mean that this administration is going to take that and run with it. They are always going to try to work for deterrence first. However, I would like to remind people that the Iranian regime and the Ayatollah is responsible for countless American deaths around the world through Hezbollah and other proxies and Hamas. And so they're really not someone that we can negotiate with too well. So I got to give the president and this administration kudos for trying to work with them, because quite frankly, I wouldn't trust anything that they say.
You know, the death toll reported from this Iranian protest is just simply devastating. And but the bravery the Iranians are showing in the face of the regime's clampdown was remarkable in contrast. So in your latest article on EV Magazine, you say the women of Iran are braver than the institutions meant to protect them. I'm wondering if you can talk to us more about that.
I really want to set the stage here and help people understand that these people that are protesting in the streets are really fighting with their bodies and with sticks against a tyrannical regime that is using snipers from forces outside of Iran, by the way. A lot of the people in the militia that they're pulling in are from Iraq or from Afghanistan, Pakistan. They don't even speak Farsi in many cases, and they're assassinating these people in their own country. And so the regime is absolutely wreaking havoc and devastation on the people of Iran. The women that are protesting in the street, I mean, you can look at the video and the footage that you guys are showing. It's devastating. You know, there are men, women, and children that are being murdered at a rate that is higher. And I talked about this in my article. It is a higher daily kill rate in Iran right now than it was in the Holocaust. And that is not by any means to minimize what happened during the atrocities of the Holocaust, but it's to put it into perspective what these people are going through. And really, the Western media isn't talking about it. The United Nations, who has something to say about every single conflict around the world, can't seem to find too much of a voice for the women of Iran at the moment. And it really makes you wonder why. What is it about this narrative that makes the United Nations, Doctors Without Borders, celebrities like Mark Ruffalo, who seems to have some kind of pin that he wears at some awards show for every single person in conflict, that except for the Iranian people?
So you bring up the UN. What do you say to the fact that Iran, once sat on the UN Human Rights Council, and China, one of the world's worst human rights offenders, currently holds a seat?
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the international community. It's embarrassing for the United Nations. And it really puts into perspective why recently President Trump had the United States pull out of over 31 different United Nations subcommittees, because it's a use of our taxpayer dollar. They're not effective. And in many cases, they're bolstering these regimes and their behaviors. I mean, in what world does Iran and China and Russia get to talk about human rights and security around the world? I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing for the United Nations, and they should be ashamed of the work that they do, and they should be ashamed of the fact that they're not following through on their charter.
So, I mean, do you think these international bodies can improve in some way, or has the ship sailed on that? Is there anything, for example, can be done to advance the security of Iranians who are protesting?
I am a skeptic by nature, but I'm also equally an optimist. You know, I would like to be able to have the United Nations and the leaders in the UN come together, much like they did a couple of months ago in their talks, and talk about how they are not fulfilling their mission. That was stated multiple times in every single leader speech at the UN. We failed, we've fallen short, we're not doing well. okay, accountability matters and being, self-aware matters, but what is the next step? You have an opportunity of the United Nations now, not just to impose, feckless sanctions that really don't matter. You have an opportunity to really make sure that the people of Iran are supported. And the world is silent right now. Legacy media is absolutely silent. If this was happening in any other area in the world, would they be talking about it? And the answer is yes. So I think for the people of Iran, they have to be sitting there wondering, why is it that we can have a Islamic regime that is inflicting terror upon not just Christians and not just agnostics in the area, but against Muslims also? Why is it that other people's voices and other conflicts around the world matter, but ours don't matter to the UN?
Just finally, Taylor, President Trump has suggested that his new Board of Peace could potentially replace the UN. What do you think about that? Do you think through his actions, he's giving people more hope than the current global institutions we have in place?
President Trump and this administration are problem solvers, right? So they look at an issue and they're like, something isn't working. So what can we do to make it work? And an institution that is as old as the United Nations that has shown time and time again that they are not going to put their money where their mouth is. They're not going to step up and do what needs to be done for the international community to make sure that there are no new world wars, that there is global order, that there is not a lack of humanity that is shown in these countries, and that it's not tolerated. And I think what President Trump and this administration is saying, if the United Nations and other world bodies are not going to do their job, then we are going to partner with other nations who have the same values as us: freedom of religion, rule of law, the concept of democracy and democratic privileges and freedoms that we value in the West. A lot of these nations that are on this Board of Peace that have signed on to these agreements are working towards that. Is this idea perfect? Absolutely not. I see holes in it because I think that that requires every single nation who's going to participate in this to really give up something and to kind of analyze themselves and look at what's happening in their own nations and make sure that they're up to par to be able to tell other people how to make sure that they are treating other people well and treating their nations well. So time will tell to see if this effort is effective, and I look forward to seeing the results and the output for that, because I can tell you right now it's not happening at the United Nations.
Okay, Taylor, always enjoy speaking to you. And I wanted to tell you that was a great article that you wrote. And I encourage our viewers, if they have time, just take a quick look at it. Thank you.
Thank you.